Oh, I'm just turning up the sound. I'm just turning up the sound. I hit live and then went, oh crap, we don't have live sound there. Hey, welcome to Wednesday. It's Q&A Wednesday. This is Melissa Fillmore, talking to all my Fillmore fanatics out there. So excited to be there. Actually, I'm just happy to be indoors. I definitely know it's spring. It is raining out and I just want to crawl under the covers and stay there. But definitely wanted to talk to you about a very important topic today, sugar. Yeah. So I had this thought the other day. I watched a few documentaries. I remember the first time as a young adult that somebody told me that they no longer they actually were going for a sugar-free diet, and I found it fascinating because I thought at the time, why would you go with a sugar-free diet? At the time, it was still kind of the big thing to do, the low-fat diets, and that fat causes fat, and so I just found it fascinating why somebody would choose to go with a sugar-free diet. And so obviously, as I've become healthy, I've done much more research, and I'm pretty consistently reading on it. Hi, Nancy. Pretty consistently reading about it. Not only that, but there's some really great documentaries out there at this point that have done us justice to tell us really what the problem with sugar is. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what is so bad about sugar. I find it fascinating if you kind of go back through history to see where we've come as just a society today. There were two schools of thought at one point. One was Dr. Atkins, who really believed in a low carb, sugar-free diet, and then you had the low-fat diet that came out. I remember the early 90s, all the crazy, interesting low-fat, fat-free. Do you remember Olestra? Oh Lord, the fun side effects that caused. I fortunately never tried it, but I've heard all about the side effects from that. So, it's kind of fascinating. Some of the research and things that have come down to it. And I really find it fascinating that we kind of blame the obesity epidemic on everything but really the true issues, which of course I fully believe is processed food and a lot of sugar. And I'm not talking natural sugars. I'm talking about the added sugar, the fructose, all the garbage that's out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I am very aware that giving up sugar is very difficult. There are significant physical withdrawals when you choose to give up sugar. So for those of you that realize that you may have become a sugar addict, it's a tough one to quit. But what I'm going to tell you is, you know what? Abstinence from sugar is probably your best bet. But let's talk about why. Let's talk about sugar itself. So in general, a carbohydrate is what gives you energy. It's a nutrient that's designed to give you energy. That's what your body uses it for. Now, there's a difference between glucose and fructose. Glucose is something that actually your body can make itself if necessary. It can actually derive it from ketones or from the other nutrients that your body takes in, but it also can come from added sugars, which tends to be more along the lines of sucrose or fructose. Now, don't mix up the fructose of added sugar, the high fructose corn syrup, as an added sugar versus like the natural sugars that come in fruit. Totally different things, and your body treats them completely different. But let's talk about the first downside of sugar. Really, sugar is an empty calorie. There is really no nutritional benefit. It can give you a quick high and make you feel really good for about 20, 30 minutes, and then it will drop you on your face. So there really is no benefit to eating processed or refined sugar. It looks like Steven says that he quit eating refined sugar and processed grains when he was 14. So great option. I've actually had to educate myself on the downsides to sugar because, again, they don't really teach this in school, and found out today from a documentary I was watching. I used to think that doctors actually got about a semester of nutrition information, and it's not true. It's much, much less than that. So, doctors aren't really prescribing good food and nutrients as a recipe for health or even to heal people, which I believe that food can heal. So downside to sugar is that there are no essential nutrients in sugar. They're just empty calories. And if our body, like I said, if our body doesn't get what it needs glucose-wise from the things that we eat, your body can actually make it from the other nutrients such as proteins, amino acids. So, so there really is no benefit to the added sugar there. So difference between natural sugars, again, your body treats natural sugars completely different. The benefit of fruit is that your fruit has a buffer. It actually also has fiber in there that can slow down the absorption rate of the sugars. Plus, again, that's God's candy. That's what it's there for. Fruit, it's really difficult to eat so much fruit that your body can't process it or can't handle it. Although, I mean, it can happen. But the downside to getting those added sugars, first of all, they are in almost everything that we eat. If you don't think so, no joke, you need to actually look at the nutrition labels of your food. There is sugar in things you wouldn't believe. One of the things I first have my clients do is to start tracking their food. I don't even ask them to change anything. I just ask them to start tracking what they eat so that we can actually look and see what things have sugar in it. And people are amazed at what products have sugar. And now be aware that it doesn't always say refined sugar. Sometimes you have to pay attention because it's anything ending in ose. Okay, sucrose, maltose, lactose, fructose, anything that's anything that adds an ose. Even the sugar substitutes, and some of them end in ose, so like sucralose. While I use a little bit of sugar-free substitute, some people's bodies actually treat them a lot like just regular sugar. It can actually spike your insulin as well. So keep in mind that everything in balance is important. So let's talk a little bit about the other downsides to sugar. First of all, I full on believe that is the main reason that we have an obesity epidemic in the United States. Our bodies just can't handle the amount of sugar and junk that we process, that we try to make it process. So our bodies are screaming from the processed food and the junk that we're eating. All of the inflammation is a buzzword right now. Sugar can definitely contribute to that. The other thing is that especially like the high fructose corn syrup, they've done research that shows that it actually messes with your body's ability to be satiated. So your body creates two hormones called ghrelin and leptin, and those are your hunger and your satiation hormones. And when you take in the high fructose corn syrup or the fructose, your body actually doesn't see that as a filler. It doesn't feel full. It doesn't trigger that. So it's unfortunate, but that's one of the causes of overeating, is because that high fructose corn syrup that's included in everything actually tricks our bodies into believing we're still hungry. And that is a huge problem. The other problem with sugar that I believe is that it is an addiction. There is an actual addiction. It is shown that sugar actually triggers the dopamine response from our brains that we find like from drugs and other things. It's been shown to light up the same parts of our brain that cocaine and heroin light up. So for those people that say that sugar's not addictive, I completely disagree. All of the research and the information out there really shows that there is an addictive quality to it. For most of us, we can't stop. And if you look at kind of the American diet, I find it fascinating that it's sugars, fats, and salts. Those three things together just really cause a problem with your body, and we have a hard time turning it off and feeling full and happy. So definitely an addictive quality to that. Not only that, but think about, the response to that, I find that there's an element of, sorry, I'm having brain issues right at this moment. Maybe it's sugar, just kidding. Depression, anxiety. I really find that somebody said today on one of the things I was watching that there is, our society, everything's outpaced our body's ability to keep up. So when it comes to things like stress, and food, and technology, our bodies were not designed to deal with it in the way that we need to. So this is our body screaming and just trying to deal with all the things that we're putting in front of it. So one of the things that I saw today, sugar is one of the leading reasons, or the leading contributor to obesity in both adults and children, which I find pretty depressing at this point, that our kids are growing up with the same problems that normally we wouldn't deal with until we were adults. I believe it ages our body faster. It contributes to certain cancers. It can raise our cholesterol, our bad cholesterol, and I believe is a contributor to heart disease. So really, any way that you look at it, there is no really great benefit to added sugar or refined sugar. a great idea, a tip that I heard not too long ago. Somebody said that, if you're going to eat something that contains refined sugar, make it something that you have to make homemade, because that way the balance comes with the fact that it takes time to make, so it's not convenient. You're not running into the grocery store and pulling stuff off the shelves and taking it home and eating it. Many people these days eat such a processed food based diet. If you go in the grocery store and take an immediate right or left and shop the outside walls of the store, your health will be so much better affected by that, because you're going to hit the fresh fruits and vegetables, the proteins. There's no benefit to buying anything boxed, canned, anything that's in those middle shelves. Our bodies don't know how to deal with it. Okay. So, honestly, if I could tell you to do one thing that could change your health, it's to cut out sugar. It just is. I know we love it. I know it tastes good. It makes everything taste wonderful, but there's just really no good benefits to it. So I know for a lot of you that are my clients, I have actually made you watch the documentary Fed Up. It's a great documentary. It is narrated and produced by Katie Couric, who used to be on the Today Show. It's a really great documentary. If you haven't watched it, I recommend it. It just talks about how we as a country have really reached the obesity epidemic that we've hit here in the United States. There's another one that was really good. That one, by the way, you can watch on Netflix for free. Hi, Mahek. There's another really good one that was made by an Australian called That Sugar Film. I just watched it. So for all of you that haven't seen it, that is your homework. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. And I found it extremely fascinating because it's kind of like the movie Super Size Me, where the guy goes on the diet of just eating McDonald's food. This is an Australian who decides to go on a sugar or a diet completely made up of sugars, and not there were some rules to it. It had to be added sugars, and it had to be a certain amount per day, and it had to be out of products that were seemingly healthy options. So things that we might put in our kids' school lunches. It couldn't be candy, ice cream, anything like that. It had to actually be so like fruit juice boxes, granola bars, the little fruit snacks, all of those interesting things that made up his diet. He had to actually go along with what the average amount per day that the average Australian would eat, and added sugars to their food, and it was like 42 or 45 tablespoons, and he got half of it in his very first day in his breakfast alone. Think sugared cereals, things like that. So fascinating film, fascinating documentary. One of the things that it did was it really pointed out how much healthier other countries are over the United States. A lot of countries really focus on having healthier produce and fresh foods, and we walk into the store and buy junk. Gave me a really new, interesting view the next time I walked into the supermarket of just watching what people are pulling off the shelves. Everything is pre-made, flash frozen. By the way, if you saw how chicken nuggets were made, you would never eat another one in your entire life. They actually create a paste out of it and then make nuggets out of it. Disgusting. So keep in mind that just because it sounds like it's healthy does not necessarily mean that it is healthy. Hey, Neil, I haven't seen you in forever. So a couple of tips. Number one, guys, don't drink your sugar. If you're drinking a mocha choca laca fricka whatever, and you're adding 600 calories worth of sugar to that, not a great idea. Not only that, again, not only is there not any nutritional value to that, but you're getting a whole lot of sugar in something that's, I don't know about you, I'd rather eat my food. Mountain Dew, one of the worst sodas that you could possibly purchase. It has so much sugar in it. They've shown how it rots teeth. There's definitely no benefits. And I know Mahek, as a dentist, would probably back me up on this one and say, gosh, soda is one of the worst things that you can possibly drink. Again, yeah, it might taste great, but it's going to ruin your teeth. The other thing I want to make sure that you do, other tip that I have is, read the labels, read the nutritional labels. Just because, here's the deal, guys, it's a gimmick. It's a marketing tool. they can put whatever they want on the front. There's loopholes and gimmicks and all kinds of things that the FDA allows the food companies to get away with. Just because it looks healthy or they say it's healthy does not make it healthy. Just kind of like everything you read on the internet is not necessarily true. You would think that we have more common sense than that. So pay attention to what the labels say, not just how many grams of sugar on it, but what's it coming from? You know, things I talked about a couple weeks ago. You get a loaf of wheat bread, it has high fructose corn syrup and molasses in it. It's not even necessarily 100% whole wheat. So pay attention to what you're putting in your body. It does make a difference. When I work with someone who literally has no idea how to be healthy, honestly, the only tool I give them in the beginning is just keep track of your food. Pay attention to what you're eating. Second thing, eliminate as much added sugar as you possibly can. If you can cut out the processed food, your body will thank you for it. And here's the deal. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. You just can't. So for those of you that, exercise so you can eat more, yeah, eat healthy food because it's just not doing you any good. It's not going to allow you to eat out every night and drink beer and eat pizza and get away with it. Your body will reflect it. So keep that in mind. Really quick, interesting tip that I found as I was I always do research for this. In 1822, Americans would actually get about 45 grams of sugar every 5 days, which is about what's in a can of Coke. In 2012, the average American gets 756 grams of sugar every 5 days, which equates to 130 pounds of sugar a year. So that's like me and sugar, okay? That's a lot of sugar, you guys. Again, there is no nutritional value. There is no benefit to it. Do me a favor. Cut it out for 3 months and see what happens. Prove me wrong. Prove that your body doesn't work more efficiently, behave better, your blood sugar's a little more even. Sugar is the one main thing that contributes to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. How can our bodies handle it if we're consistently shoving that in our system all the time? So keep that in mind. If anybody has any more questions about that, I've kept it fairly simple. We could talk about more in detail about how our bodies respond to it, how insulin takes it and carries it out of our bloodstream. But I think that you all kind of are on the same page. If any of you who are trying to be a little healthier and pay attention to what you're eating, you start to realize what happens when we start cutting sugar out of our diets. We just become healthier people, and all around, I think we're happier, more energetic. It is what it is. I'm not saying that you have to cut it out forever, but honestly, for those of us that are